Okay, so let's go ahead and turn our canvas back on. And I'm going to create a sketch here and put it on this outside surface. And now that I've got that nailed down, I can actually hide the bodies, get those out of the way. And when you make a sketch based off a plane, it's going to, or a surface, it's going to basically outline that face and give you a sketch of that. And I don't really want that here, so I'm just going to highlight this and delete it so I have a fresh sketch plane to work with. And there are 7 of these little notches in the front and 7 in the back, and they are the same on both sides. We'll take a look at we'll switch the reference out here in a moment. I'll show you. But I'm going to begin by making a line. And really what we want is for it to just kind of extend, you know, far enough so that these cuts are cleanly made. So I'm going to do something like that. And then we'll do a repeat line. I'll just make something horizontal. And I'll do that one more time. And now I'm just going to copy this line here. And then we'll go sketch, trim, take off these little pieces. And I'm going to hit stop sketch. And we will pull this in the press pull operation. I'm going to turn my bodies on so I can see what I'm doing here. I don't know how much. Let's do 1 millimeter, and if we need to tweak it, we can. 1 actually looks like it might be too much because we can sort of see where it needs to end. So let's do, rather than -1, we'll do -0.5. It's not a very significant feature. It's just a little something in there to help you grip it. And I actually want to come back. I didn't want to make that cut just quite yet. So I'm going to right click. Let me drag this up so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to go to edit feature. And rather than cut, I'm going to say, let's make that a new body. Drag that back down. So I've got this now. And what I want to do is actually clone that a few times this way. So we'll go back to the original sketch that we just made. So we'll do an edit sketch. And you know what? I should see a third sketch here, I think. Exit out of this because we just made one for this guy. But anyway, no big deal. I'm going to go ahead and hide that. Let's make a new sketch. And this is just going to be a line. We can start the line there, and we'll just kind of draw it back just sort of beyond the range of what we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is go to Create, Pattern, Pattern on Path. So for pattern type, I'm going to select pattern bodies. And for my path, I'm going to go ahead and grab this edge here. And you can see as I drag it out, go to the side view here, I'm going to want 7 of these. And I'll just make sure that they all kind of line up. So there are 7, and the spacing is consistent. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to expand the pattern group here, path pattern group. That's what we just made. And I'm going to hit Control C and Control V. And now I'm just going to kind of scoot these guys down a bit to there-ish. Get it to line up as closely as I can. And they're off a tiny bit. So it might actually, well, it looks like it's just a distance thing. I think the spacing should be pretty consistent. It'd be strange if it wasn't. There we are. Okay, so I'm gonna hit OK. And now we're gonna do one more thing. We don't need that canvas visible for the moment. I'm gonna go to Modify, or Create, and then Mirror, and grab all of these parts. And should be able to do a shift select there. me cancel this. So right now, for whatever reason, even though I have some new geometry, it's not actually updating here in the menu. So I'm thinking there may be a little bit of a glitch in the update. We didn't see that sketch a minute ago. So I'm actually going to pause the video and save this and restart, and I expect that it will be just fine. So just a moment, please. All right, I figured it out. It wasn't actually an issue with Fusion. What happened was I must have, when I opened the last file, forgot to turn on the component here. So some of that stuff was living up here in the root. So if you see, there's that sketch that we made up there. So anyway, no big deal. Unfortunately, once you have something in history created in the root, you can't move it. I mean, you can move it, but the history doesn't come with it. So I will try to be more careful going forward. Go ahead and do our combine. Or first, we're going to mirror. So go over to mirror, and for our geometry, we'll just do a shift select. Make sure you've got the pattern type set to bodies, and it'll let you come over here and do a shift select. Should anyway. Well, no big deal. All right, so for the mirror plane, grab that guy and hit OK. So there we are. Now we can do a combine. All of these pieces here. And once they are all selected, we can go ahead and do a cut. Hit OK. And there we are. Now that even looks potentially maybe a little bit too deep. Let's take a quick look at the reference, a little side view here. So you can sort of tell based on how high these are up off of that curve. Let me hide the geo for a second. So they don't really go that much farther up once they sort of intersect this upper plane. So what I'm going to do is actually come back to my initial press pull operation, which looks like it's that one, and I'm going to hit edit feature. And so we had it at 0.5. I'm going to put it at 0.25, and then just run my history bar back up, and there we go. Now that kind of thing right there, I just love it so much. That's such a difficult thing to do in other pieces of software, but because of the history, at least the other pieces of software that I've used, it's just so flexible and easy. So also there's a bunch of like sort of fillets and rounds and stuff that I'm not really worrying about at this point. I like to get all the major features in before thinking too hard about going in and tweaking those finer things. So pretty happy so far with how this is coming. Let's see, there may be one more cut we could make. Actually, I think I'll save that for the next video. So stick around for that.